Hello there guys, it's Stephen here. The international break is nearly drawing to a very, very welcome end. No major injuries. Actually, I think Stone's got a bit of a knock on Silva, but we'll get on to that. And anyway, I've got a bit of a surprise for you in this video. Do you remember the most optimistic Man City fan in the world? The man, the myth, the legend, the infamous take it man, Mr. Walter Smith. Well, he's here. Walter, how are you doing, mate?
Hey, very well indeed.
I'm going to give you a drum roll over that as well.
Well, people might have called me silly last year for being optimistic, but if you look at what we've actually achieved this year, all my optimism seemed quite well placed, to be honest.
Are you good, man? How's it been? Not seen you for a while now.
Oh yeah. Everything's good. You know what I mean? I'm enjoying the football, enjoying life. It's a great time to be alive, but it's even better time to be a blue.
It's good, isn't it?
Most people watching this, I suppose, are blues.
Well, a few of us. Some nice ones, actually. We get like a few Spurs, Liverpool, Chelsea fans, and they're actually quite decent. I think we attract a calmer crowd of fans on this channel, which is quite nice. You know, less of the trolls for you to dig into. But
especially on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's one thing that you've actually not even really needed to do much this season. How do you do a Walter's glass half full when everything is really positive? Like, would there have been anything for you to say this season?
Yeah, well, I mean, what I tried to do with Walter's glass half full ultimately was to offer some City fans, you know, someone might say something in a pub and they might go, I remember, and that's nonsense, and just, you know, empty seats or Pep's a fraud or any kind of nonsense. Well, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
But that was the idea behind Walter's glass half full, just to sort of give our blue brethren, you know, a quick comeback in the pub, as it were.
Yeah, and even though that's sadly a strand that was from Bloomer Rising, before anyone asked, Bloomer Rising, it wasn't either our fault, it wasn't really anyone's fault, it just happened, it's just gone because people who owned it, they didn't want to fund it anymore. And we could all just blame Paul Walsh. Should we just blame Paul?
I think me and you weren't good enough. Maybe that
was it. We didn't. We weren't charismatic enough. But maybe you, but definitely not me. I'm still just going to blame Paul because if you're watching Paul, I mean, it wasn't his, but isn't his fault. But anyway, yeah, it was. But man, thanks for coming on the channel, on the video. I just thought I'd grab you to discuss a few of the kind of talking points that people on Twitter suggested talking about. So thank you for coming on, man.
My pleasure. You know that.
In general, just before we get onto that, the season so far, how is it looking through your eyes?
My glass is not half full. It's just overflowing, man. Just pep effect. I mean, the pundits are all sort of saying, "Oh, you know, it's the same as last season." Well, anybody who actually watches the games or goes to the games especially can tell you this is different from last season. You know, and it's a case of there's a few factors that sort of figure into this. The players are understanding what Pep does, I think, far more, and they're understanding their roles within the team. The players, we haven't got Bravo, you know, as the Bravo of last season, you know, and he was like, you know, Rimmer the hologram. Just anything you shot at him just went in.
That's one for the older generation of fans who watch.
No, it's back on telly, so.
Oh yeah, Red Dwarf is actually. Yeah.
But I mean, Edison, I absolutely love him. I think for
so
me,
good.
he makes me laugh. He'd be the ideal poker player because he could have the best hand in the world or the worst hand in the world. The expression just doesn't change,
isn't it?
You know, he got kicked in the head, and you know it doesn't change. You know, we scored a winning goal, it doesn't change. You know, the man.
I've got
he's just
theory.
Emotionless.
He's a robot or some kind of like Brazilian sentient cyborg, but he's a breath of fresh air, isn't he? And it's weird that he's almost developed this cult-like status because of the Liverpool incident with Mane when he got kicked in the head. It's like his reaction to it. He's got this almost cult status already, which is crazy for a new player.
Well, I think replacing Bravo was absolutely essential, and he stepped up to the plate.
Yeah.
And when he got kicked in the head against Liverpool, one thing that did make me laugh is the Scouse media just went into overdrive how it wasn't a red card, which I thought was
baffling.
Just bonkers. But
Assault.
It didn't just go on for a week. This went on for 2 or 3. Now, the thing about Bravo, I was a little bit like, because it brought him to the headlines a bit, and us City fans could already see how quality he was.
Yeah.
And after that sort of incident, the country, the world found out how actually good this guy is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just phenomenal. I'm just so happy with him. I wouldn't swap him for anybody else.
No, neither would I. And I put that on Twitter recently, and a lot of United fans were like, "Oh, you're being immensely biased." As in David De Gea, and he probably does have a better reputation, and he's deserved it because he's kept United in it. But they were saying, "Of course, you'd take De Gea." I was like, "No, I wouldn't." De Gea is arguably maybe the best shot stopper in the world, but it's Ederson's overall game. That's what defines him as someone who fits the Guardiola team. De Gea couldn't do what Ederson does in City's team. That's why I prefer Ederson. And even if you like, Ederson is, say, an 8.5 out of 10 shot stopping and De Gea's 9.5. Ederson's 9 at everything else, in terms of his pace off the line.
I'll tell you how good Ederson is. He managed to calm the nerves of the City crowd when he's got the ball and there's a striker on rushing. That's how good he is on the ball.
That's impressive, isn't it?
Oh, his passing's ridiculous. He seems to find Fernandinho no matter where he is on the pitch. You see the guy running, the striker running onto him, and he just slots it by him. No change, just slots it by him. And I noticed a lot of the other teams were slightly trying to rough him up at the beginning, thinking, new keeper to the English league, and that hasn't fazed him either at all. And he got the ultimate rough up against Mane, and he was playing a couple of days later.
He's phenomenal. But let's kind of move on to more pressing current match, because Ederson's going to stay brilliant. Vincent Kompany, apparently he's back. He's been given that interview he always does after an injury, when he's saying, "I'm back and I've never felt better," which is sadly a massive case of deja vu. But given the timing, exactly. Given the time with Otamendi suspended, it's probably too soon. But it does raise questions about centre-back position. Now, in your opinion, does he walk back into the team, or is that moment past?
No, he's been our best defender over the last few years. Yeah. No question in my mind. Does he walk back in? I'd literally, if he needs the grass mowing before he goes on, you know what I mean? I'll do it for him. I'd have him straight in.
Really?
Without a shadow. You know
Who
what I mean?
Who'd you drop then?
Otamendi.
Okay.
And the simple reason being, as good as Otamendi's been this year, Vincent is Vincent in many respects, and he can't be replaced. Big Vinny. And what you see is Stones is that. What I love about Stones is he's actually taken upon the mantle of being the main guy at the back, which is another massive big plus for us this season. And if you think about what he can learn when he's next to Vinny, and that's also in terms of you sort of game management within your head, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that never say die attitude that he has, that seems to, I think that could just rub off on Stones every day of the week. You know what I mean?
I actually respectfully disagree. I mean, a lot of... Hey, you just had a shirt failing behind you there. Maybe the shirt disagrees. And I think my fancy camera might go off soon with the battery, so I'll be on the Skype image. Just warn you in advance. But I think it'd be a shame. Otamendi and Stones have been so good to mess up that burdening relationship, and you do wonder that you could be back at square one if Vinny picks up another injury, and then you've kind of relegated one of them to be second choice after everything they've done. So it's very tough. But at the same time, I do see the point where Vinny is Vinny. There is no one like him in the league, and obviously Stones and Otamendi are learning from being around him, and it's just if he's reliable. I mean, even then, if we don't put him back, he's a little bit better than Mangala, isn't he, on the bench,
Me and you might be better than Mangala. I tell you what, I've been harsh there. I tell you what Mangala's good at. If you said to Mangala, there's a big centre forward there, he needs marking. Keep him out of the game. Don't worry about where you are on the pitch. Don't worry about position. Keep that forward. Do not let him score. And in a physical battle, Mangala's good at that. Now, whether that was up against Zlatan when he played for PSG or up against Diego Costa, that's what he does well. And unfortunately, not fortunately, should I say, for us as a team, we've progressed so much more than that. We're not. I'm not saying we're not going to get beat, and I'm not saying, but we're not. We don't go into any game now where we should be scared. We are going to get beat this season.
It's weird, isn't it? It's changed mentally, this team. You can just see it. It's good, though.
Oh, it's it's a great time to be alive, great time to be a Blue.
It leads nicely, though, onto the next point, because obviously Otamendi suspended the weekend. It probably will be too soon for Vinny to return against Leicester. And Mangala, as you just said, isn't necessarily at his best against anything other than a big striker. And obviously Leicester, they'll probably play Okazaki, who's quite strong, but the main threat for them is obviously Vardy's pace, and that kind of undid us last year away. So, I mean, it leaves a few options in defence. So Danilo played actually in the back three at the start of the season against Everton. He did pretty well there as a makeshift one. And obviously Walker's a big, strong lad with pace. He could maybe go there with Danilo at right back, or you could play Tosin or Mangala. I mean, what would your option be there? What would your personal choice be to stand in for Otamendi?
Vinny.
Or half-fit Vinny on one leg.
I mean, out of all the options that you sort of suggested there, I don't want Mangala near the team, but I know. You know Tosin. Well, you know Tosin a lot better than I do. I mean, I was there when he made his debut against Chelsea, and he was awful. But he had Martin Di Michaelis next to him, who was equally as bad. So I did feel for him, but I found that his passing range that particular day, I mean, you don't make a big judgment on a young player on one game, but his passing range that day was shocking as well.
Yeah.
You know, he was giving the ball away. But I'd bow down.
He's known for being a decent passer. I think it's a lot of nerves, but he actually broke the lines quite. I think the camera's just gone off, so now you're watching this shit like webcam version. So sorry. Anyway, I think he's known for being actually quite good on the ball in the academy, but it's obviously a big step up, isn't it, to do it in the first team, and where there's a lot of space, everyone's quicker. The passes are more likely to be intercepted. So there are definite and probably fair questions if he has that ability to break the lines, which is the buzzword these days. And I would probably go with someone like Danilo or Walker, and one of them playing right back. But it's not going to be ideal either way, is it?
I tell you, as you were talking, I was listening, and I've made my mind up. I'd go for Tosin Adebayor.
It's a big shout.
Well, no, because if we're not going to give youth a chance, what's the point in the academy? And you also, if you don't give these players the breaks after putting them on a long contract as well, we've mugged him off. A bit like we did with Denayer, which, again, sends a massive message to all the academy boys coming through. So if you give him a chance and he messes up, well, you can always turn around and say, well, look, we did actually give you the chance.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we've not given him a chance. We stuck him, he's played a couple of games in terms of the League Cup, when it really is a whole new back line that he's dealing with.
Yeah.
He's not come into a settled team for me. So, yeah, I'd go for Tosin.
I mean, that'd be a huge statement of intent for Pep who did it. I don't think it'll happen, but I'm a firm believer, as you said, that the youngsters need to at some point have a go and see if they can do it. And it could be that alongside Stones using the form of his life, and then obviously Delph looking solid, Walker playing really well with Ederson behind him and Fernandinho protecting. It could be that he looks 10 times more confident. And I do think in general young players should be tested amongst the elite, not amongst the dregs and players that haven't played for weeks. Because those, that sounds hard, but it's the ones that are probably lacking match fitness or trying too hard to impress or not used to playing alongside the other ones who haven't played before. So it's so kind of discombobulated. It's so disconnected, that team, and there's no kind of chemistry that it's hard to play as a new lad amongst players who are trying to get match fitness. So I always think...
I'll sum it up for you. You got Tosin there who's going to be making his, full 90 minutes for Manchester City. We're at the top of the league. We're 8 points clear. You've got Stones next to you, or Mangala. You know what I mean? And as a young lad, and I don't know a City fan who hasn't actually lost faith in Mangala either. So
I tried to defend him, but it's undefensible at the moment, isn't it? Like his defending, ironically. But yeah.
But so you've made my mind up for me.
Oh, Tosin. I think it'll be Danilo, weirdly, or Walker, but yeah. But anyway, on to something positive and negative at the same. David Silva, I think he's now the 4th all-time goal scorer for Spain, which is strange. It's like he lives 2 separate lives. One for Spain, where he's this glorious goal-scoring winger, then us, where he's this incredibly majestic assister, but not necessarily the final product. I've been trying to work out why he scores so many for Spain. You got any ideas, suggestions why, or...
I think he needs to bring his Spanish boots over with him next time.
Maybe it's the sunny weather.
I mean, if you look at Silva, my favourite Silva goal I could think of off the top of my head is when we beat Blackpool 3-2, and it was just this jinky one. But he finished it well. He doesn't. Whenever I see Silva sort of pulling the leg back to have a shot, he never seems to. The whole body language of him doesn't seem to be overly confident. And then I saw him play for Spain, going in with a slide tackle, nudging someone off the ball, beating a couple of players and firing it in. I thought, I haven't got a clue. I've never seen him score a goal like that for City.
It's weird, isn't it?
I think you were talking before about this idea of. I mean, I watched a couple of the international games, and honestly, the standard of international football in the playoffs to get in was awful.
It's pretty shit, isn't it?
Absolutely awful. And I'm sort of. It's weird in a way because I was watching the Ireland game last night, and I'm used to watching Pep and the way he sets out a team.
He's ruined football, Pep, hasn't he, for everyone else? Like, he's ruined watching other games.
Well, I was watching it and thinking, why is nobody in a position to receive the ball?
Yeah.
And why is there was so when you look at, I mean, I'm going off onto this international thing, but to sort of bring it back in Billy Connolly style, it's if it's that bad at international football, well then the standard of player that Silva's coming up against isn't going to be what the Premier League has to offer.
I think it's fair to say these days international football isn't the be-all and end-all of football. Obviously, the Champions League's a vastly higher level because you've got the best of all the nationalities, where the England team, even at its peak, in my opinion, would struggle to qualify for the Champions League. Probably 6th, 7th, just because of the lack of guile that the overseas players bring around it. The Bruyne's, your Silvers, or your, I don't know, or even your Pogba for United, or your Martial, people like that who had that little bit of more consistent magic, maybe compared to Jamie Vardy or a fast runner or Ross Barkley, who's been around. He's not in the England squad at the moment; he's obviously injured, but he's the kind of player that has been our big hope, a battering ram, but not necessarily a cultured player. But I think my theory is that it's lower quality, and also for Spain, he plays a lot closer to the goal. He's not deeper, he's not assisting, he's more of an attacker because Iniesta and people like that in Isco have that responsibility a little bit more, which frees him up. I think it's just some kind of like relief for him. But the big worry though is he's actually got this thing I've never heard of called, let me read it, torticollis, which is not torticollis, which apparently is a twisted neck muscles in the wrong way, which sounds painful. And he's like
pain in the neck.
Yeah, well, like David Silva for most people, ironically. He's apparently a doubt for the Leicester game, which I think in years, and maybe it still does send like shockwaves of fear from most people. But we played obviously in Champions League against Napoli without David Silva for most of it, and Gundogan stepped in. Are we in a place now where we can see someone like David Silva step back and not lose too much finally, or?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what we've brought in, I mean, I've got this theory in my head that next year is going to be the big year for City.
Even bigger than this one?
Oh, I think we're just gonna drop the bomb next year. You know what I mean? In terms of football's going to go running scared, because if you look at the positions that need strengthening in our team, they're so obvious. You know, we need another centre back. We need a backup left back, and Emre Can from Liverpool in the middle.
Allegedly, would you have him?
Absolutely. You know, just to bolster that squad, because if Fernandinho goes down injured, and I haven't seen certainly for a few years, should I say, Fernandinho put it in over the course of a full season. So if he drops off, and his role is so pivotal, I think City, if he drops off, City will drop off a bit.
Oh, I agree with that.
And if you've got Emre Can and him both sort of busting a gut, because people forget, I mean, he looks as fit as a fiddle, but, you know, he's not a young chap, is Fernandinho. I mean, he's certainly younger than me. He's 31, I think. But you wouldn't want me as your midfield legend.
I don't know. I've heard you've got a good touch.
Someone's lying to you.
Yeah.
But
Paul. It was Paul. No, he lied.
But just bringing it back to what I said is this idea of players dropping out for City isn't the catastrophe that it used to be. We used to have that strong spine, and if any of that went missing, the performance dipped by a massive percentage.
Yeah.
While if Silva's out, you bring in Bernardo. So it's not, the drop-off isn't as drastic.
Yeah. I think personally, yeah, I agree. I think it'll be Gundogan that steps in, which is, it's heady times to have someone like Gundogan come in for David Silva. It's nice. But I think that kind of sums up this video quite nicely. Walter, thank you for coming on the video, mate. You're an absolute hero, and I've honestly missed chatting football with you. It's been really, really nice there's no one more positive, and it's great. So you're going to come back on again, yeah?
Yeah. You give me a shout. I'll come back on.
I've been chatting to Alex and hopefully Elliot as well. I might be able to blag one of those two on one day, but it's not
the
quite...
big reunion.
The big reunion. God, imagine. We're getting a pub somewhere in the Clarence. Have a few. Mate, thanks very much. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed seeing Walter. A round of applause for Walter because he's a hero. And subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a like on the video. Let me know about all the talking points. Say hello to Walter. And I'll see you next time.